Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining us on This Week in America. Erik Möllberg is our guest on the program right now on This Week in America. He's been with us before talking about community media. Erik is the assistant manager for Access Fort Wayne, the host of the TV portion of the radio program. And you're thinking, I bet that's interesting, and you would be exactly right. If you lived in the Fort Wayne area, you could pick us up. We're talking about community media. What's interesting is this is basically, all of you listening, this could be your outlet. If you've got an organization, if you've ever thought about, I'd like to present some of my opinions, some of my talent, some of my views to the community, this is how you do it through community media. Erik, thank you for joining us again on This Week in America.
My pleasure to be here, Rick.
And let's talk about that. Exactly, what is community media and how can people go about actually their club, organization, church group, presenting their ideas on actual television?
Well, what there is it's known as PEG Access, and the PEG standing for Public Educational and Government Access Television. It's strictly local. You'll see it only on cable in your community. If you have satellite, if you have just broadcast television, you wouldn't see it. But it's designed, public access is designed as a First Amendment forum and an informational outlet for the local community to express their talent, idea, or opinion on what was known as, at that time, as society's most powerful medium, television.
Yes, at the time. Public access, and that pretty much says it all. It's access for the general public. If they, what happens if, let's say, their church group, and it's like, that'd be interesting to come on like every week, every month, whatever, and talk about what's going on with the organization. How do they go about doing that? How difficult is it to get something like that started?
It really isn't. In the case of Fort Wayne, we have a monthly meeting where all new producers come in and they get the rules and regulations at that time, find out how to schedule production time, and they come in, they do their show, we'll give them a list of volunteers that they'll call to operate the equipment. In our particular case here, again, they don't have to have any technical knowledge to produce a program. It's mainly their idea on what they want to communicate, and they just schedule their own guests to be on.
And alliancecm.org is a good website to go to. You are a member of that alliance, and I believe on there you can actually locate some of the community media possibly in your town.
Absolutely, yeah. The Alliance for Community Media is the national organization for all PEG access in the United States. And they've got, it's a great website to find the materials either for access communities, where you may be, also in terms of media reform. We do a lot in that respect.
And if you're thinking, well, I wonder if there's something close by to me, I think the last I looked, there were like over 5,000 channels available across the country, providing tens of thousands of hours of programming. So chances are, if you look, a local cable company does have public access.
Yeah, and we provide, nationally, the way we've been able to figure it out is we provide more programming in a year than all of the local broadcast stations combined do, and at a cost for less than a season of All My Children.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And it's done a lot, as you mentioned, with volunteers, and I believe, again, the last statistic I saw was well over 1 million volunteers. So that's sort of the backbone of what you're attempting to do and making it all possible.
Yeah, it's a tremendous way to get involved with your community and to find out what's going on. I mean, you really, in our situation, we've got some programs that are being done here completely in Spanish for the community that may not, they're learning English, they've just come into this area, and here's an opportunity for them to find out information, social services that they may be able to use, etc.
If someone is thinking, that would be good, maybe I'll do it a one-time thing, they need obviously to go make the presentation. If someone is making a presentation to you for, here's a rough idea I've had for, I would like to do this, what do you look for? What should they include in a presentation?
As far as a program that they want to
yes.
do? Again, it's pretty open. They can do whatever they want. The only kind of programs they cannot do on the channels, you can't advertise, there are no commercials, you can't ask for money, be slanderous, libelous, obscene, or indecent, but we'll help people through. It's an independent study program, so we take a hands-off approach to content. Anybody can come in here and do just about anything that they want in terms of a program. So if they've got a rough idea, we'll help them storyboard it a little bit if they need some assistance. Maybe have them work with a couple of other producers to help cultivate their idea if they're not really ready to jump into television.
How is funding done for your project?
We are funded strictly through franchise fees. Those are monies that the cable company pays a local municipality for making money by using the public right-of-ways, that strip of land that lies between the sidewalk and the curb that belong to you and I. City keeps a small portion of that franchise fee to pay for the repairs that they may have to for the right-of-ways, and then the other portion of that goes back into, in essence, paying for our salaries, paying for the equipment, paying for the maintenance, and so it's local cable dollars going back into local cable programming. We receive no federal monies.
And I understand with your system here with Access Fort Wayne, you actually have several channels that you program.
Yeah, we're running, just in our facility alone, we're running one government access channel, which is a local version of C-SPAN, and then we've got 2 public access channels. There are also 2 educational access channels within this community, one that's being done by the community schools and one that's out at the university, kind of doing a higher educational telecourses and things along those lines.
So the operation in Fort Wayne, and I'm sure when you talk to people all across the country, it's really been successful. I mean, you're getting a lot of people on the air, giving them a platform to talk about their organization or to talk about their ideas.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is also because, and this is something that seems to be unique to Indiana, is that we have our facility and several others in the state are in public libraries, which is kind of a nice little marriage there. People feel a sense of ownership about the library. They're not reticent about coming down here.
Erik, thank you so much for joining us. Erik Möllberg has been our guest on This Week in America. AllianceCM.org. You can go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, to get information and link up with that. Erik, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us on This Week in America. Erik, exactly what is community media?
Community media is only going to be seen on cable television within your particular area, and it's an open forum, First Amendment based platform for people to be able to communicate their idea or opinion on society's most powerful medium, television.
Who presents their ideas, and how does somebody go about getting their idea on television?
Generally, anybody who's a member of that community can contact the nonprofit organization that is operating Access TV. It could be in a cable company as well, and say, I want to do a program, how do I go about it? And they'll go over the procedures and the rules on how you get access.
What are the types of programs that you see?
You'll see anything from sports programs, could be religious programming, informational programs, could be in people's particular languages that are in those communities.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining us on This Week in America. We're talking about libraries, how relevant they are in the digital age. With us is Roseann Coomer. She's the Assistant Manager of Community Relations and Development for the library system in Fort Wayne, Indiana. One of the premier library systems in the country. And Roseann is with us to talk about just how much people are using libraries now. She has a brand new facility here in Roseann, thank you so much for joining us, first of all.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you.
Great to have you with us on This Week in America. Libraries, a lot of people, I come into, when we tape down here, it's the home for the TV version of the program. You have people coming in, using computers, using the meeting rooms, checking out books. Some people would think maybe with the digital revolution, a lot of people are staying away from libraries, and you're finding just the opposite.
No, we're finding they're coming more and more. I know part of it is the new facilities we have, but as long as people want information and they want to learn, they're going to come to libraries because we are the source of information. It's a great first place to start. And as you said, we have people starting to use computers and they're using meeting rooms. This has really become what we call a third place, where people want to go to home and work, and they also want to come to the library for different events. So it's really something.
And with the library here, was one of the first, I understand, in the country to offer internet access. Is that one of the keys to really not stay away from what's happening digitally out there, but actually partner with it and
That's
bring
right.
those technologies into a library?
That's right. Librarians are really key on bringing those kind of technologies to the public so they can use them and they can find different ways to find their information. You know, librarians, we have classes here all the time where they're teaching people how to use the internet and trying to provide. And one of the things we did here was we doubled the number of computer stations we had so that more people could do that. And we've done that in our branch libraries too, where we've more than doubled the number of computers that they could use. And they're always busy.
You know, it's interesting that some of the changes you talk about, and I would think from a reference standpoint, the old ask the librarian, I'm going to go get information on this. With computers and Googling, I mean, you can take care of, you know, what maybe took a librarian a couple of minutes, if not a half hour or so to research. Bingo, on a computer, you've got access to that in 30 seconds.
Yes, but sometimes librarians have a way of finding even more information. I just talked to a friend earlier who was talking about how she spent, you know, several hours or a long time on Google looking for information. She couldn't find exactly what she wanted. She went to a librarian, and just in a few minutes they had the answer. Or if they can't find the answer, they can maybe put you on a different path so you can find it.
Well, and that's one of the problems, because as you're looking up something, you'll find that, okay, I've got 12 million references
Correct.
here. How do I find the right
Right.
one? And I can't stay here for 3 days going through all
Right.
these pages. So a librarian can probably, if you tell them exactly what you're looking for, they can zero that in and get you where you want to go a lot quicker.
Oh, that's right. And we have a number of electronic databases that have even more information. And so if you just go through those specialized databases, you can find the information much quicker. And so, you know, we have special ones for medical, for just for looking up newspaper articles for specific places and dates and times. And of course, then we have genealogy here, and so we have so many so many databases that they can use to go and find their family tree.
And the genealogy department here is one of the tops in the country, and
That's
people
right.
will literally come here for 2, 3, 4 days
Oh, yeah.
and do a whole research on the family.
In fact, several years ago, we had a woman move to Fort Wayne for 6 months so she could do her family research. And yes, but they come from all over the country, all over the world, actually. We're the largest collection in a public library in North America, and second only in our collection to Salt Lake City.
Roseann Coomer is our guest. She's the Assistant Manager of Community Development and Community Relations and Development with us on This Week in America. Our website, by the way, is thisweekinamerica.us. In talking about that, I mean, the library card, that's about the cheapest form of knowledge and education and entertainment you're ever going to get.
Oh, it is. It's wonderful. It's like access. You know, we have over 4 million items in our collection, so it gives a free card gives you access to those 4 million items. Plus, it gives you access to use our computers to check out videos, CDs, so many things that people are needing. And with the economy, you know, if people are out of a job, they can come here. We have classes on resume writing. We have specific sections of our collection that talk about employment and where to go and what to do, or if you want to go to college or go on to different technical schools. We have so much information. So we're not going away. We're getting stronger each and every day.
And we mentioned everything at the library. They still have books, and I still see people walking out of here with books. We were talking about doing that on computer and the e-books and the whole thing, and that just doesn't seem to be making it.
For me, it's not quite the same as holding a book and sitting under a tree and being able to read it at your own pace. But a lot of people check out books on CD or on tape, so if they're driving a lot, they can listen to the book that they want. And, you know, those are very, very popular. And, yes, our circulation is up. We circulated over 5 million books last year. 5 million items.
Absolutely amazing. It's been said the library still is like the social and intellectual anchor of the community. And we've got about 30 seconds left. All right. Do you still find that's the case? I mean, you come in here, and again, you see you've got a little coffee shop, you've got an art museum, you've got all the meeting rooms, the computers, people with the books.
That's right.
Do you still find that's true?
It seems to be. We have people coming in from all different areas of the community, and everybody has a different need. We have a theater downstairs they're using now for different things. We have the gallery, as you say. And then, of course, we have all those books that they come in to get, which is even more important for them to learn.
So if people have not been to their public library in a couple of years, 5, 10 years possibly, get to the library, get a card, and it opens up a whole new world.
That's right. It's a great place to visit.
Great. Thank you for joining us. Roseann Coomer, Assistant Manager, Community Relations and Development for the Fort Wayne, Indiana Public Libraries. And on a future program, we're going to be talking about the genealogy department, because this is considered one of the tops in the country. And we'll be talking specifically about that on a future program. You've been listening to This Week in America. Our website is thisweekinamerica.us. Thanks for joining us. Do it again next time. Roseann, how have libraries adapted in the digital age over the last 5 or 10 years? What are you doing differently now?
Well, just recently in all our locations we now have Wi-Fi access, so anybody can bring their computer in and just sit down in a comfortable chair and work on it. We've increased the number of just regular computers we have. We've doubled our number of computers in the libraries during this past year. And, you know, we're still buying books at the rate of a mile a year.
In terms of research, we can research ourselves on Google, but a librarian's pretty hard to replace. They can get us there a lot quicker.
They can get us there much quicker. They save us time on task, and they know information, and they know where to look.
It's been said that the library is sort of the social intellectual anchor of the community. Do you find that's true, that a lot revolves around the library?
Oh, yes. We have people from every age group, every socioeconomic class. Everyone is coming to the library, and they all use it for different reasons. So we just see people coming in all the time. You've been through our main hallway. You see people everywhere, and it just never stops.
What are some of the services other than books that most libraries have?
Well, we have the computer access. We have DVDs, CDs, books on tape. We have an outreach services where we go and serve nursing homes and different places that people can't get out to get books. We have a young adults area that's just for teens to go in, and we have a gaming group that meets there to work on the Wii and the Play. What is it?
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever it is.
I can't keep track of those yet.
Thank
you know, I go into the library here in some of the branches, and I see a whole lot of kids. It looks like kids are really embracing libraries.
Oh, yes, they are. And, you know, parents still want to bring their children, and they want them to learn to read. And where better than where you have a lot of books. And we have story times, and we want to teach them the joy of a book and of a story. And that's why we have story times at every location. We have areas where it's just for children and just for their parents, and that's a great way to bond.
Great. Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to This Week in America. Curt Witcher is with us on the program. He's the manager of the Genealogy Center at the Allen County Public Library in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I mentioned Fort Wayne, Indiana specifically. This is one of the top genealogy centers in the country. People come from all across the United States to do family research, family history at this particular library. We'll be talking about the Genealogy Center here and going back and trying to piece together the family history on This Week in America. Curt, a pleasure to have you with us on the show today.
Great. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you.
I came into the studio today. I was mentioning this before the program, and I see a family from out of town has their reunion here, coming to the Genealogy Center, Allen County in Fort Wayne, Indiana, to put together the family research. And you're saying that's not really all that uncommon anymore.
It's really not. We have several dozen family history associations, family societies, organizations that come to Fort Wayne every year specifically to do family history research, to meet distant cousins, compare notes, things that they could do and are doing over the web, but now you're doing it with face-to-face with a cousin, with a family member. It's neat to see people sharing actual photographs, stories, and sharing their web experiences. And to have that in a department with such a great amount of expertise as our department is really a neat way to hold a family reunion.
Let's talk about the center. I know that you partner up with the Family History Library in Salt Lake City, and I understand one of the top genealogy centers in the country is what you manage, that you have access to literally hundreds of thousands of documents.
Yes, we do. It's a wonderful relationship. The largest family history center, if you will, or family history research repository, Rick, is the Family History Library in Salt Lake City. And our book collections are pretty comparable, but they have 2.3 million rolls of microfilm, digitized civil and church records from all over the country and all over the world. Simply for the cost of handling, anyone can get a film loan from Salt Lake City to Fort Wayne, Indiana to use in our collection for a month. So I joke with our colleagues in Salt Lake City. I say, well, you know, when we signed this agreement, we became the largest genealogy library in the country because we have our collection here, and then we have our remote storage facility in Salt Lake City.
You just shot to the top of the list.
All said in jest, though, it's a wonderful research facility in Salt Lake, and it's wonderful to be able to provide our customers with access to their film collection. Since the early 1950s, they have been filming all over the world. So instead of our customers having to do web work, visit research facilities here, and then travel overseas, they can look at actual German church ledgers, Irish civil registers, all kinds of material that really, A, still aren't out on the web, and B, require you to travel.
And it's amazing.
access.
I know when people come to your facility here, the Genealogy Center in Fort Wayne, it's not like in and out in a couple of hours. They literally will spend, in some cases, the better part of the week here trying to get all of the documents they need to put the family history together.
Indeed. It's a wonderful combination. The more prepared people come with their own documents and interviewing family members and all that data that they've compiled, it's, as you and I were speaking earlier, it's just a wonderful, powerful combination to have our deep, rich collection, access to the film in Salt Lake City, the amazing web resources, and then the expertise of our staff. We really spend a lot of one-on-one time helping people pull things together.
You're listening to Curt Witcher. The program is This Week in America. Curt is the manager of the Genealogy Center at the Allen County Public Library in Fort Wayne, Indiana, one of the largest research facilities in the country in dealing with genealogy. Website is very simple, acpl.info, and you can get information on the Genealogy Center, or you can log on to our website, which is thisweekinamerica.us, and you can link up to his website very easily by going to our website as well. But Curt's is acpl.info. I want to talk a little bit about the role of the actual library, because you can get a lot of documents on the internet, but I guess when you do that, you've got a lot of documents on the internet and they don't necessarily fit together. The puzzle does not come together. Is that where the physical library comes in?
It really is. We are living in the best of times for genealogical researchers. There has never been as much information available. The flip side of that coin, if you will, is there's never been so much information available, so it can be really intimidating. We liken it to someone being presented with a 5,000-piece puzzle, totally scrambled and broken up in front of them, and say, here, put this together. People can obtain a tremendous amount of data on the web. A lot of it is good, some of it is mediocre, and some of it's poor. Poor we define as conjecture. Someone just said, this is my family, but there's no documentation,
Right.
There's no proof, and there may be a lot of holes in it. The strength, we think, is we can wrap all that together. We can take web resources, our physical resources, loaned materials from Salt Lake, and we can wrap that together in staff expertise. And we think that's a dynamite package. People come here to help sort it all out. Help me put this puzzle together. Help me sort out these 5,000 pieces and help me make my family history.
I know you were saying that you've been with the center for 29 years. It has to be exciting when you see that light bulb go off, that smile on someone's face when they've actually put some of the pieces together and they understand where they came from.
Absolutely. And it's even more pleasant and encouraging now because people come with so much more data. 20 years ago, when people wanted to start, it was a struggle because getting those first couple generations with that 72-year privacy cap for government records, it was just very difficult. Now you can hop on to Ancestry, a lot of online resources, come up with a tremendous body of data to start with, and people are successful and have much more fun much more quickly.
Curt Witcher has been our guest on This Week in America, manager of the Genealogy Center at the Allen County Public Library. His website is acpl.info. Our website is thisweekinamerica.us, and you can link up with all the information from the Genealogy Center. Curt, thank you for joining us on This Week in America. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll see you next time. Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to This Week in America. Our guest is Curt Witcher. He's the manager of the Genealogy Center at the Allen County Public Library in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Talking about genealogy, Curt is back with us on This Week in America. We've talked before about some of the attributes of the Genealogy Center here, one of the tops in the country, where people literally will come to Fort Wayne, Indiana, spend a number of days, and piece all of the information together. Curt is back with us in the program, and something that we talked about briefly the last time is 5-10 years ago, people would talk about this, and they'd be like, wow, this is like really going to be work. And you're saying with all the assets that are available now, all the bits of information available, you actually can pretty much hit the ground running now to try to piece the family history together.
Absolutely, and that's golden for getting a lot of people started, particularly younger people who may not have a whole lot of time. We all know how busy our lives are. What the resources that have been coming onto the web, and they've been coming on hundreds of millions of pages at a time, what those resources have done is really opened up the field for anybody, for everybody to be able to do research. You don't need to be retired. You don't need to be rich and famous. It's literally available for everyone to engage in. And for us, that's exciting. That's really widening our customer base, and it helps people be more successful.
Curt's website is acpl.info. Our website is thisweekinamerica.us. You can log on to us and link up to that information. And I mention that specifically because you talk about on your website how to get started. Briefly, what are the first couple of steps someone should do to get started?
Amazingly, even in our high-tech age, the best first step to take is to find information in what we call the family setting. Is there a family Bible that has births and marriages and deaths recorded in the family pages? Is there a holy book that has remembrance cards and obituary notes? And are there living relatives that you can speak with? The first best thing to do is to gather what we call the 3 building blocks: names, dates, and places of relatives and their events. Who was my grandmother on my father's side? What was her maiden name? When was she born? When did she marry Grandpa? When did she die? Where is she buried? Little touchstones like that begin to provide us with clues about where we can search on the web, about what books we'll need to look at in the library, about what film we might want to loan from the Family History Library in Salt Lake City. So the first best thing to do is really the same as always: gather as much as you can from family sources, whether they're photograph albums, treasure books, scrapbooks, and most importantly, living relatives. Once you've got that, you've got wonderful websites and great living resources at the library to tap for direction.
How important is it, and you can do, I know, a lot of this online, but to actually physically come to a genealogy center like Allen County Public Library in Fort Wayne and have someone like yourself or the trained librarian make sense of all of this?
Well, we liken it to any other endeavor. Let's say you're fixing your car, and you can find a tremendous amount of information on a 67 Classic Chevy online about the firing sequence and what all is needed. But boy, it's really nice to be able to talk to a mechanic about how you really take the engine apart and what things you might want to do first. Same thing with genealogy. You are leagues ahead if you say, well, this is the information I've gotten from my family sources. What sites do you recommend that I search first? Ancestry.com is the largest genealogy site. They have 13 billion plus records on their site. Wouldn't it be nice to talk to someone about what part of that site should I search first based on the information that I have? How should I use the US Gen Web project? What things are on Roots Web? How do I use the other literally dozens of online sources? So it's whether you want to venture out on your own and make all of the mistakes and little foibles that people make when they're really not directed very well, or when you have like a guide along the path with you. We think that it makes a tremendous amount of difference.
How do you see young people responding to all of this? I know it's been a concern, not necessarily a concern, but a goal to try to get family history incorporated more in schools, in social studies, in history class, that type of thing. Are the young curious where they came from, family history?
It's amazing that you asked that. It's something that we're very keen on. I could talk for hours, and I know we have just seconds, but K through 12 history education is not done very well in the United States. If they would incorporate genealogy and family history into those curricula, oh my goodness, you would have kids that are excited about doing things. Why talk about World War I in abstract terms of generals and battles and number of people killed? Why not talk about World War I and how people in Allen County or Orleans Parish, Louisiana, or Denton County, Missouri, how those communities provided troops, what they did on the home front. Look at some letters that people wrote back and forth. Interesting thing about kids, when they see their family name, whether it's a relative or not, in a newspaper, on a census record, in a document, there's almost something, and I hate to use this term, but it's like magic. There's almost a little switch that goes on in their brain that says, hey, this is cool. There have been a number of studies, and you may have read some of these about at-risk kids. One of the greatest ways of simmering at-risk kids down, getting them to focus on studies, is to show them something about their family. It's sort of an affirmation of, you are somebody. You're not a nobody. Look, here's your grandfather. He worked hard in this particular shop. This is what he did. Hey, look, here's your great-great-grandfather. Says here that he came to this country in X year. He must have been an immigrant. Think about what that meant. It's amazing. It's amazing what impact it has on kids. It's a wonderful way to teach history. The way we've been teaching history is wrong. We're doing what we call the general white man's history. Everything's white, everything's at the high level of generals and battles and major movements. Who fights in wars?
Well, hopefully we can harness your enthusiasm and try to change this and make it much easier for kids in school, that whole relatability factor with that. Curt Witcher has been our guest on This Week in America. He's the manager of the Genealogy Center at the Allen County Public Library. His website is acpl.info. Ours is thisweekinamerica.us, and you can link up with Curt's website as well. Thank you for joining us, Curt. A pleasure. We'll have you back. Thank you for joining us. Thanks, everybody, for listening to This Week in America. Great. Curt, how easy is it now to actually get started tracing your family history?
It's amazingly easy. First best thing to do, look at all of the home sources you have, from Bibles to living relatives, and gather names and dates and places from them. Second thing to do is to venture out online. Go to a site like Ancestry, come to the library site, read up on how to do genealogy best. Go to rootsweb.com. There's a wonderful project called the US Gen Web Project. Plug what resources are available.
So a lot of the information we actually have to get started.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's available in-house here and online.
Perfect. Thank you.